Welcome back to How to Be a Better DM, the official podcast of Monsters.rent. I'm your host today, Justin Lewis, here with Tanner Wayland, my brother in arms, my compadre, my colega. How's it going?
That's a good man. I'm so many things. I'm excited.
Well, you are everything, but you're also Tanner, and that's exactly what we need. Uh, I'm being a little nostalgic today because today is the last podcast episode of 2023. Now, I never thought we would get to 2023, right? Because you never see yourself moving forward in time. But I think today it would be apropos, whatever that means, to take a look back at 2023 and also take a look forward into 2024. Maybe do some divination magic and see what the future holds for us. What do you think, Tanner?
I'm down for that.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Well,
let's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say let's start with 2023, and
Yeah.
Tanner, if you wanna kick us off.
I mean, yeah. Just on a personal note, it's been a busy year. One, things have gotten busier with the podcast, as we'll talk about, but also, I mean, just personally, got a dog. We got a house. A house at the start of the year, dog halfway through the year. Good old Banjo. He's a cutie. He probably just heard me. Bless his heart. But yeah, it's been a great Christmas season. Kirsty and I are doing well. Otherwise, just things are busy, but we're keeping up over here. How about you, Justin?
Yes, things are also busy for us. We had a baby. That's probably the biggest thing that happened to us personally this year. Back in August, my wife and I had a baby. Funny story, for 9 months, we thought the baby was going to be a girl. The ultrasounds told us it was going to be a girl. And then the baby came out as a boy. So check your ultrasounds, people. You don't want a surprise like that. But having a baby has been very rewarding, very tiring. Both those things.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it. That's the thing about kids. You get a lot from them, but they request everything from you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, specifically talking about the podcast, we've had actually a really good year. It's been fun seeing the podcast grow, and one of my favorite things this year has been just in November. We had our highest download month. We had 5,000 downloads in the month, over 5,000 downloads, which is not a small thing, right? I think most podcasts never get past 10 episodes, right? Just that's how it is statistically. And you're in the top 50% of podcasts if you get more than 100 listens on any episode within the first 7 days. And we get around 200. So we're probably in the top 70% of podcasts, maybe. Obviously, it is kind of an exponential curve, but it's really cool to see the growth we're having. And more than that, I think is, having people reach out and being like, yeah, you guys are helping us, you know, uh, DM better or helping me. I just like listening to you guys. And it's fun to think, we did something that people like, which in this day and age is pretty rare.
Yeah, I think that it's a great thing just seeing that, I don't think of us as any kind of exceptional people. Like, obviously, we have a lot of advice on being DMs, but it's nice to know that it's like, hey, if we and the guests we bring on just share some of our thoughts, think a little deeper about the individual parts of being a DM, then you can do really good work. It's kind of like a journaling in your personal life, where it's like, yeah, if you just spend a little bit more thought, deconstruct things a little bit, uh, regurgitate it in a good way, then essentially you learn. There's a lot to learn from just a simple review of things, right? And so that's been kind of an interesting thing, and I've loved knowing that we're helping people that way.
Absolutely. Um, I mean, even though we talk a lot about DMing, I would in no way, shape, or form claim us to be the world's best DMs. Well, I can't speak for Tanner, but myself, I DM'd just last night, and afterwards I was like, man, I need to get way better. But I'm sure that that's how a lot of people feel, and honestly, that's why How to Be a Better DM exists, because we want you to not feel that way. Instead, finish the session being like, wow, that was so great. I'm just so happy.
Yeah, exactly. And we try and change it up with the topics. If in the future, if you guys ever are like, hey, we want specific topics or types of content, like we've considered, reviewing other people's games, as they DM. We've considered a lot of different types of things. We always try and get on guests who we think would be valuable. But if any of you have any ideas, we of course welcome them.
Yeah, actually, you can go on Instagram, look up at How to Be a Better DM or at monsters.rent. Send us a message, suggestions, or even content that we missed in an episode. If you think that a particular episode needs to be fleshed out a little bit more, definitely let us know. Or if, like Tanner said, you want us to basically, commentate on your session, you just have to record your session and send it to us. But really over this last year, Tanner, like Tanner mentioned, we had some pretty great guests. I think one of my favorites was Victor Bavine, and that's mostly just because I kind of cut my teeth on the Forgotten Realms by listening to the Drizzt Do'Urden series by R.A. Salvatore, and Victor Bavine was the voice actor, right? And so his voice for me is Drizzt Do'Urden, and it was really cool to listen to him. It was also fun, hanging out with Andy from We Geek Together, and having like that live podcast feel, which is kind of rare for us just because our guests are mostly not in the same locale. Though I do think, moving into the next year, I think it would be cool to have more and more in-person guests if we can get them.
Yeah, agreed. Like Andrew, he was great because, I mean, you should have seen all the technical issues we had going into that because we weren't on site. We didn't do it at either of our places or at a studio. We went to We Geek Together, his store, set up there. Just so many technical issues getting it set up. And then once it was finally done, it was just cool to actually have a chill conversation. And
Yeah,
we even thought that we had lost like the recording, and we found it. And so like that one, I think I'm nostalgic for it from like a trauma standpoint because it was like both you had the bitter and the sweet,
yeah,
but that one was memorable for me.
agreed, agreed. Also, we want to say thank you to everyone who participated with us in the one shots of last year. We know that they weren't as periodic; they didn't happen every month. But we were grateful to you for joining us and having fun with us, even amidst the technical difficulties of the one shots. I know the last one that I did, very technically difficult. Um, and hopefully in the next year we can have more one shots and more people join. Even if there are opportunities for live one shots, in person, if there's a group of listeners here in the Utah region, we can get together and do a one shot that way. That would be fun, I think. But again, just wanted to say thank you for everyone who participated and also for all the guest DMs we've had over the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always fun seeing you guys, meeting you guys, and also just playing. We learn a lot every time that we do because it's one thing playing with a party that you've played with consistently. Playing with a new one always is such a learning experience. So thank you for being, I mean, our friends and our guinea pigs to some extent. So thank you.
Absolutely. Another great thing that we did this year was the Guild. And the Guild is sort of a uh, kind of collaboration between the podcast and Monsters.rent. And really, it's all the same thing. But just for your uh, information, the Guild is basically a free community that the goal is to connect people who are like-minded in the same space, but also give them resources and things like that. Right? We have the beginning of a dungeon mastering course, and we have some downloadable resources available online through the guild. Again, all free. And for me, the coolest thing of the guild has been one, seeing people slowly kind of come in, right? And every new person that enters the guild adds so much to everyone who's already there and hopefully to themselves, but also seeing the collaboration between the people within the guild, seeing, people talk about homebrew monsters that they're working on or puzzles that they found, or it's just, it's just really cool to sort of sit back and see you guys, because if we could bottle up all of your knowledge and experience, I think that would be way more informational and helpful than what we can say. And it's frankly just kind of a treat just to be kind of on the receiving end of that.
Yeah, absolutely. That one's been just fun seeing. Like it's growing slowly because we haven't been doing it that long, but every time it does, then you feel like each new person is like a measurable help to
Yeah,
everyone else, and I
yeah.
love that.
It's
Uh,
also growing slowly, I'd say, because I don't know about you, Tanner, but I have like no idea how to do Discord, right? Like, I don't know technically very well, but also like I'm not like a people person per se, so like it's kind of a stretch for me being like, yeah, welcome, let's talk about these things. So it's definitely a new experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for your patience with us, if you are a part of that, and if you're not, come join. Add to the milieu, as the French say, of the voices and everything. Um, for us, I mean, probably the thing that's made me busiest this year is, I mean, aside from the podcast in general, it's monsters.rent. You guys have heard us talk about that, for a hot second now. But yeah, it's just been kind of an eye-opening experience where it's like, yeah, there's a lot more to a miniature rental business than you'd think. But it's had a lot of ups, some downs, but I think for me, like a big up was just at the start, there's always a question when you're starting kind of like a side venture, a side project of like, okay, how much do we throw ourselves into it at the start? And do we do it slowly? Do we just jump in and see if we can swim? And I think we got a good experience with that with the Dead Wars that we geeked together through back in, was it May?
I think it was May, April, around there.
May, April, yeah, because we made and painted like what it was like 200 minis for that,
200. Yep.
uh, and then beyond that, we we went to the show. We had a booth. We got a sign printed. We kind of put our best foot forward, and that was kind of an interesting experience. I really liked that.
Yeah, I think it was fun for us because it helped solidify kind of the real business aspect. When you start a business, it's sort of like in your head until it goes out in public, right? Once you start getting people signed up and people buying things from you, then you're like, wow, this is like a real business. And for me, that was just really fun. It was also sort of kind of validation, talking to a lot of people saying, yeah, this is like a really great idea. Now, obviously, uh, people saying that and people buying whatever you have to sell, two very different things. But it was a big event for us, and I think it did move us forward, at least in maturity, business wise, right? Uh, but
Yeah.
another kind of highlight was when we sort of upgraded our boxes, and we're still sort of working on this process actually, just the inside of the boxes. But we started uh, using these wooden boxes that were kind of custom designed. They have the monsters.rent logo and everything on them. Actually, if you go to our website on mobile, you can see there's like a cover image of a video that actually displays the box really well on the homepage. But those boxes are pretty sweet. And honestly, just the box itself is like cool enough that someone should like want to buy it. But I mean, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of nice having a little bit more individuality to our products because that's what we hope to do. The priority obviously is just like, hey, we want to make easily accessible and rentable minis, that are affordable, so that people don't have to buy a bunch that just sit around because they don't want to reuse the same minis all the time. But it's also nice to make a little bit more of an individual product that way. I've really enjoyed. Beyond that, also we've just gotten some really good help, like some amazing help from a few influencers, uh, and obviously it's more in the D&D space, and but we really like Bennett and Courtney. Bennett, you if you don't follow him, you should. You absolutely should. He's at the Ben Chewy, Chewy. And Courtney, she's at the Curly, uh, Kurligirly cosplay. So it's the Curly Girly cosplay. They've both been so helpful. Honestly, we really loved the videos that they put out for us, and kind of having that partnership set up. And if you haven't heard of them, go check them out because they're great. Regardless, though, we're so grateful for them and everyone else who's been helpful along the way. Because we've worked with quite a few people. Some people haven't been able to keep working with us, like just because of time constraints or other things. And we're just so grateful for anyone who's put any time into this, and also to any of you who gave us a shot. And so we're truly appreciative for that.
Absolutely. Probably the biggest thank you that we can give from a monsters.rent is to the current users of it, the people who are sticking with us regardless of how many technical hiccups we have, or how non-user friendly the website may or may not be at any given moment, because it's always in flux. And actually, Bennett, going back to that, the video, he made us a video, and you can see that video on the homepage right now if you go there. It's a pretty sweet video, really well done. So definitely go to at the Ben Chewy on Instagram, TikTok, and give him a follow. But I think another cool thing that really for us has been just kind of a treat has been the ability to accumulate or have the ability to produce something like over 100 different minis, including 12 bundles of different themed minis. And seeing the different files and things has been really fun and nice. We actually signed up. We signed up for the commercial license of someone on My Mini Factory, right? And that's allowed us to kind of accumulate these minis, and they're really well done. But I think moving forward, we have hopefully some other plans. We'll tell you that in a second. But anything else you want to talk about in terms of 2023?
Mostly, I one thing that we forgot to mention with the podcast was just sponsorships, really, because we've been, one nice thing is that we like putting out the podcast. Up till now, though, we like with a couple exceptions, it hasn't really made us money. Which we're happy to still do it, but it's nice that the sponsorships allow it to be more of a long-term thing. And like, for example, Magic Mind. Honestly, we've been working with them recently, and they've been so helpful and supportive, and we just really appreciate that.
Yeah. When they first reached out, and this is sort of a little bit behind the scenes, like how the sausage is made kind of deal. Obviously, the podcast costs money every month for the hosting and things like that. It costs us time, and we really love it. And if we do the podcast, we can't do other things that might provide for us financially, for our families and things like that. Tanner has a wife and a dog. I have a wife and a dog and a baby. So we can't do this all day, every day, just because we have jobs. When Magic Mind reached out and they're like, "Yeah, we'd like to partner with you." Honestly, it sounded a little bit too good to be true. So I was like, "Is this real?" Just because I've had people, on Instagram, you always get those people who are like, "Yeah, you're woman of the year," and I'm like, "I'm a man." So they were like, "Yeah, we'd like to work with you guys," and through the whole process, they've just been so nice. And to me, it shows me really what's behind their product, which is Magic Mind. It's a productivity shot, but it shows kind of the culture of their company. With our first sort of promotion, it was kind of a little creative. I was a little nervous of how they'd receive it, and we sent it over, and our contact over there was just like, "Yeah, this is so great." She was just so praising of us that, to me, again, it just showed if they are that excited and that emotional and energetic about the promotion, then that's obviously what's behind the productivity shot, Magic Mind, which is a subscription for it's supposed to replace your coffee or your tea in the morning, whatever you use to kind of get your energy. And it's all natural, and it has lots of. I actually have the list up. Lots of really great um, nutrients in there. Things that honestly I don't completely understand because, frankly, I'm kind of not intelligent. But there's matcha. There's Bacopa Manieri, which sounds really cool, and it also sounds kind of like a spell. There's ashwagandha, rhodiola rosea, which again sounds like a spell. Lion's mane mushroom, cordyceps mushroom.
Oh,
So
and what's
lots of
this?
things
What's
that,
this right here? It says vitamin. Huh.
yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. I don't like Vita means life, so maybe it's like living men or something.
That must be
I don't know. I don't know.
vitamin. Yeah,
But
weird. Huh. Crazy.
yeah, but when I took it, it was a very interesting experience because I'm honestly I don't drink coffee, I don't drink tea, so I've never really relied on sort of energy drinks. I don't drink energy drinks, and I definitely felt it. Throughout the day, I felt the difference, and what it is, it's supposed to help you with your focus without the crash, right? We all know the haste spell. Once it's done, you're stunned for like 1 or 2 rounds with the haste spell. You don't get that with the productivity shot Magic Mind. And actually, they're doing a small campaign for the month of January. So I know this is the Thursday before January, but we're giving you a little heads up. You can go to magicmind.com/JanBetterDM. Again, magicmind.com/JanBetterDM. And then use the code BetterDM20 and you get 1 month free when you subscribe for 3 months. And that's a really awesome offer because it's an extra 20% off, which gets you to 75% off because they're kind of running a deal right now. But again, it only lasts for January. So if you are interested in this, subscribe for 3 months, you get 1 month free. So essentially you're subscribing for 2 months, but an extra month, right? Math. Magicmind.com/JanBetterDM with code BetterDM20 at checkout, or you can find these at any Sprouts farmers markets near you. And moving into 24, our goal is to get more subscriptions, more sponsorships like Magic Mind, and continue our sponsorship with Magic Mind. So that's definitely big on our radar.
Yeah. Yeah, because we just want to be able to keep doing this podcast for you guys. And so thank you for your support. And let's talk about 2024, Justin. First
Absolutely.
off, for the podcast, I mean, honestly, we really want to have more creative episode ideas, just like where like we kind of rethink the concept of instead of just like picking a topic from D&D, we instead, maybe we do a little bit more interesting, like maybe it's themed or it's a comparison list or there's a lot of different things that we need to do, and so we're excited to try those out. We're definitely going to get more guests. I mean that that we're always trying to get new guests, and so Justin, what have you been thinking about as far
Yeah.
as like the
So
types?
actually, with regards to guests, I've been thinking. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos of from like Insider or the Breakdown, where they take an expert and then they have the expert sort of rate or review movie clips that involve their expertise and sort of tell you, yeah, this part isn't realistic or this is realistic. For example, a wildlife expert watches uh, movies with like lions, or they watch part of Free Willy and they're like, yeah, this is why that is, and stuff like that. I thought that it might be useful and interesting to have sort of the same thing, but as it regards to D&D. So maybe we might have someone uh, who is a blacksmith and we have them come on and we ask them, yeah, so if someone wanted to buy something, how long would it take? Ask some real questions that would sort of inform how you role play a blacksmith. Or up in
Yeah.
Salt Lake, I know that there is a armored combat team literally it's a martial arts, mixed martial arts sport where people dress up in full suits of armor and they like punch each other and kick each other and hit each other with kind of dulled swords. We might have someone like that come in and kind of walk us through, like, yeah, if someone was putting on armor, da da da, or if you're describing combat, what are some ways that realistically this could kind of play out? I thought that might be more interesting than just
Yeah.
having everyday guests. I also thought it would be good and useful for us to try and start to reach out to some more high profile guests. You never know if you might get them, but if we do get them, that would be just so much more fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think something to be said for the profession style of guest is that as a DM, there's a lot of performance, like especially description that we have to do, and if we don't know anything about it, then for example, pickpocketing. How many of us actually know how that works? Or leatherworking or blacksmithing, right? We've seen like little images or little clips on, maybe Knight's Tale is the most we've ever seen of anything relating to blacksmithing. And all we're like is like, oh man, Heath Ledger's really cool. And we don't actually know anything about blacksmithing. And yeah, we're supposed to describe the situation when our party goes into the local blacksmith dwarf looking for a whole new set of armor, right? And so, every little bit helps. Obviously, email us or reach out at Monsters Rent on Instagram. Let us know if you think this is a good idea. We think it is, but we're very excited for that. And then, we're hoping to play more. It's obviously, like we said, it's kind of been a crazy busy year. So we haven't had as much time to play either one shots or just, individually as much. And so we're hoping to have more opportunity for that. And at the very least, we have planned to, have a live play campaign in this next couple months. So we're pretty stoked about that. And we don't have all the info for you, but, we it's going to take place in it's going to start in hell, which is nice. That's always a nice opener, palate cleanser for a campaign. But anyway, I've been talking too much. Justin, are you excited for the new live play?
Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how excited I am. So it's going to be myself, Tanner, and Caden, our partner from Monsters Out Rent, as the players. And the Dungeon Master is going to be Jake Packham from the Dungeon Mastermind podcast. He's a friend of ours. And frankly, he's a really talented DM, right? I've played with him once or twice before, and he's just, I don't know, he's really good. So I'm super excited. And like Tanner said, basically the story, the campaign's going to start up with all of us, Tanner, Caden, and myself, all of our characters, having been sent to the nine hells as some sort of punishment or some other means. And we're basically starting in hell with nothing. So if you want to see other people suffer, definitely tune in. We'll let you know when it's going to be released. And actually, if you want to kind of get the scoop, the latest information on when it's going to be released, sign up for the guild, because that's where we're going to do a lot of our announcements. All you got to do is go to monsters.rent/subscribe/the guild, or sorry, /the-guild. Again, it is 100% free. And then you get access to our Discord server and everything, and you become part of the community. But going to be super fun. It's going to be set in the homebrew world of Calignos, which is something Jake has been working on. Going back a little bit to having more guests on the podcast, I just thought of this. I think it even goes beyond just blacksmithing, things like that, but like we could have experts on marshes or forest life or caves, places where adventurers would go to kind of help inform what kind of conditions are going to be there, how would you travel, things like that. And then, as far as more creative episodes go, if you want an example of this, next week's episode is a little bit more creative. It's going to be talking about the Shadowfell in a very interesting way, hopefully. Hopefully it's not off-putting, but join us next week for that episode for more of a creative show. And as far as the one-shots go, not just playing more one shots, but having less technical difficulties, and also possibly opening up the opportunity to, you, the listener, to host the one shot as the DM. We don't always have to be the hosts. So if you're interested in that, definitely reach out to us. But
Yeah.
but speaking of the guild, this next year, I think the guild is going to be sort of a big focus for us, um, because it's not just the community, but it's also the downloadable resources and also the dungeon mastering course. And we've started on that, and I think this next year, a focus of ours should be to finish that course because we all want to become better DMs, and if we have resources like that available, it just makes it so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we just hope to see a lot more of you in there so that when we have questions or when our fellow DMs have questions, that there's going to be just a readily available source. But yeah, so basically a lot happening with the podcast. Very excited about that. The main thing that we have a lot of hope for. We're crossing our fingers we'll be able to get it all done. But monsters.rent, we have a lot of plans for that. Uh, Beyond, like, we're planning on being involved with the Dead Wars again this next year, which of course will be awesome, especially since we'll be, you know, we won't be on our back foot as much this year. We'll have a bit more time to prepare, which we're excited for. And then, we're also hoping to get a booth at FanX. If you're not from Utah, maybe you don't know what this is, but it's a really big Comic Con esque, event where there's, celebrities, a lot of gaming, D&D, like just a lot going on there. And it's for fans of pretty much any genre, but certainly the fantasy D&D genre. And yeah, we're hoping to get a booth there, and we'll have more info for you going forward.
Yeah, I've actually already reached out to them to see if we could host a panel talking about being a dungeon master. I might have to, follow up with them. But I think another focus of ours for Monsters.rent is creating the ability on the website to sell the minis just straight up. Early on in Monsters.rent, we had some confusion with people who signed up for subscriptions to rent the minis. And then they reached out to us and they're like, hey, why am I being charged? I bought these minis. And so we're thinking that it might be a good idea, or at least, I definitely, I think that we should put forth this opportunity for people to just buy the minis. It would provide obviously some cash for us and a simplified product model. And also, it might tell us which people want more, whether they want to rent more or just buy more. And if both options are available, I don't see why that would be a bad thing. I think another thing we're also going to look to do is more merch. T-shirts and t-shirt designs. I think we talked about in the past creating specific designs around each class, including a DM shirt. When we were at Dead Wars last year, we were selling shirts that were specific to the event. It said World Record Beholder, kind of a play on words there.
Mm-hmm.
And that sold really well. And I think having things like that for people to buy would be a good idea for us as well, because again, it would kind of be an influx of cash, pretty hands off. And we're pretty clever guys, so I think we can come up with pretty fun t-shirt ideas.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, we're hoping just to, get a lot more things that we've been talking about for a sec rolling on that with Monsters.rent. One thing specifically that if any of you have any suggestions, uh, like Justin said, we're always looking for feedback. We're also always looking for collaborators, and whether that's influencers or especially people who are, into designing miniatures, right? Uh, Whether that's, graphic designers or 3D modelers or whatever, right? Um, we're always looking to partner with those people and give them a chance to make money while we do as well, and also just improve the product in general. So yeah, definitely reach out. I guess it's easy to say that or see that we've got a lot planned, a lot on our plate, and we're really hoping that you'll be with us on this journey, and we're so excited.
Absolutely. Um, I mean, obviously, we have a lot going on this year. We're going to work on the website, make sure that it's very user friendly. We're going to take better photos of the minis and things like that, collaborate with more influencers. Um, I think the biggest thing we're going to focus on. So our core values here are, and Tanner, you might have to help me with this, but number one, community, and number
Hmm.
two, wow, right? We
Yeah.
want every interaction anyone has with Monsters.rent, How to Be Better DM, the Guild, just to be blown away by their experience. And we want to build the community, our community, the D&D community at large, and obviously the world. So with those two core values, our biggest focus will be, you, the listener, who may or may not be also our customer or user. We want you to be the best dungeon master the world has ever seen, because statistically speaking, someone out there is that dungeon master, and why couldn't it be you? So our goal is to help you reach your full potential. Gotta catch them all, right?
Yes. Oh man, did we switch podcasts? We're we're a Pokemon podcast now. Uh,
Yep.
yeah, that's.
Sorry, D&D.
Our, sorry, D&D. Got a new catchphrase.
Yes.
We just honestly want to give you the most value that you can get, because being a DM, while it's so rewarding, it's also takes a lot, and there's always room for improvement. And so we always hope that you're not depressed by that or overwhelmed, but rather that you feel empowered by by the podcast we offer, the minis, or anything else, like the community with the guild. We just want you to feel like you and any friends that you have who are kind of like, oh man, DMing kind of takes it out of me. It shouldn't feel that way, right? It's supposed to be fun first and foremost, and it's supposed to be something that doesn't stress you out. And I think we've done well at like trying to help change the mindset about that. Is like, hey, it's not all about knowing all the stat blocks from heart, and it's not all uh, about having like spent 100 hours of prep for each session. It's more about like, hey, how do you approach different aspects of the game in a more natural, fluid, and less stressful way. So we hope to be able to do that a lot more going forward.
Yeah. A big thank you to you, all your support. If you weren't listening, this would be a lot less fun. We'd probably still do it, but I don't know how long we would do it. So thank you for keeping us going just by being here, listening to us, and maybe laughing at one or two of my jokes. Here's to a very good 2023, and hopefully for all of us, an even better 2024. We'll see you next week. In the new year, let's go ahead and roll initiative.